So welcome back to part 5 of the actual build, and in this episode all we're going to be using are exactly the pieces that you see here on the table. So the leg has been put to one side as we start to build and construct the main skeleton, I suppose, of the head part of R2D2. So let's get on with the build. So as you can see, there are only 10 instructions for us to complete in this part of the build, and this is the chassis for R2D2's head. So I'll take that out of the way. And here are the parts that we are using. There we go. I can see some of the screws, so be very careful not to lose those. And if you're watching earlier, that silver screw never did show up, so I am technically one screw down. So that's going to form part of the dome. Looks like we've got a bearing, a couple of other bits and pieces, screws, nuts and bolts. Probably a health and safety warning for the EU. And let's go on with it. So number one, it says start by taking the dome top plate, and this is called DF01. I imagine it's that one. The bearing is DF09, which is here, and the bearing retainer DF10 here, and 2 of the shorter silver screws. Right, so I'm going to put those screws to one side. I'm going to put those screws there, and that is the packet of shorter screws. So I will be very careful not to lose any of these. One. As you can see, they can jump out of the packet rather quickly, can't they? Let me put those there. That's rubbish. Hasn't been mentioned, I suppose. And let's take that out. There's the bearing. Good night, Daddy. Yeah, good night, Georgia. Oh, it's my little girl. And what we have to do, we've got our pieces. So that's the bearing. And you turn this the other way up, that way up, and you can see what we're going to have to do. So the bearing is going to go in there, and then that's to retain it. You have to press that firmly into the recess, and then that just sits on top there. So that's 3. To prevent the bearing from coming out of the recess, you need to screw the retainer DF10, that's the one, to the in the 2 holes indicated. Fit DF10 over the bearing and use one of the silver screws to screw in one end and the other one to screw in the other end. Right, and it's a good job that they give you magnetised screwdriver for this. So in we go. That's that. And again with this one. If you're following me and building this yourself at home, do leave a comment in the box below. Tell me how you're getting on. How are you finding the build? I've got to admit, I'm finding it relatively straightforward and pretty easy. This is where I regret saying it. But no, I'm actually enjoying the build. It's quite therapeutic because I like building things, and you'll see as this channel grows, I'm not just going to be building the Fanhome R2D2. I will be doing some Lego builds as well, if I haven't done those already. So with that in place, that takes us up to part number 6. So there's only 4 more instructions. So number 7 says that we have to turn this around, and it shows the unit being faced kind of like north, then slightly off north, and we have to use this part of the frame here. So let me open that up. So turn the assembly over and align the triangular point of DF01 arrowed. It's arrowed in the direction, and it's actually there. There is a faint arrow on there, and the matching pointer on the frame. Fit the location pin under the pointer to the hole in the rim of DF01. This will align the fixing holes to the 2 components. Take one of the fixing nuts provided and carefully fit into one of the hexagonal recesses on the fixing. Right, let's see what we're going to have to do here. So this little recess here is hexagonal, and that's going to be for the nuts. So and again, just be really careful you don't lose any of these bits. And I'm going to need 2 of those. There we go. Third one just popped out. And what we're going to use to fix them with. So hold the nut in place with a fingertip, turn the assembly over and insert one of the 20 longer silver screws through the corresponding hole. So I'll grab 2 of the longer screws. They have got proper technical names, these screws. Don't ask me what they are just yet. I haven't familiarised myself with that information. So that sits in there, and I can actually tell the difference. That let's drop off. So this smaller hole would be the locating pin, and the larger holes are what you're going to be feeding through. So put those 2 together like so. Then put the nut and hold the nut and flip it over without dropping it. Let me pop that on there. Get it facing the right way again. And that's on there like so. And I'm going for this one here, which will be that hole there. It's deceptive actually. I thought that would be quite a bit longer than what it needed to be, but it's not. So that's the first one. Second verse, same as the first, so we'll grab that piece and then flip him over like so, and then where'd it go? And screw down onto there like so. Now I've got a feeling the reason why that there's a bearing here, this is going to be the centre of R2D2's head, and that bearing's what's going to help give you the pivoting motion, the turning motion of R2D2. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to come back. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. The usual YouTube stuff that we ask people to do, because it helps grow the channel. If you're enjoying yourself here, please don't forget to leave a comment in the box below, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.